In the last episode, we unboxed a beautiful 32-inch ProArt HDR monitor, and my goal was to teach you about what monitors you should be looking at when choosing a 4K monitor for video editing. However, things took a dark turn, and the episode had to be interrupted, and you get to see just how dark things went in this episode of Monitor Roulette.
Alright, B-roll has been shot, and I have the monitor down here pulled back off the stand. I need to do a lot of cleaning of the desk, remove my cups and pull some stuff out of the way and move some wires for me to try to do all this monitor switching, because the new monitor's going here in the main monitor spot. This one is actually being pulled out for now, and then whenever I get a new monitor arm this weekend, it's going over in my gaming setup, and hopefully I can squeeze two there so I can have a second monitor to monitor things in my gaming setup there. And so there's lots of bouncing around that needs to be done, but first I need to eat lunch, and then I'll do what I can to kind of try to film this to make interesting content. I never filmed the little stuff, and that's a problem I struggle with. I was kind of disappointed to see the monitor that Hardware Unboxed purchased came with a color-right display calibrator, I believe. Mine does not, and I checked the product listing. It doesn't actually specify that anywhere, so that's fine. I have a Spider 5, as I mentioned. I can just use that if I need to calibrate it. Hopefully the out-of-the-box stuff will be good to work with for now, because like I said, I'm trash at it, but I was disappointed to see that that was a selling point that they addressed, and mine does not come with one. But I'm going to eat some lunch, and we'll get started. You can probably see why I'm terrified about these actually fitting on here. Again, this arm is rated, I don't even know what brand it's from. Picked it up off Amazon. It's been pretty sturdy so far for these big monitors, but it's rated for two 32-inch monitors, but I don't know that that's not only like flat side by side. I need these at an angle, and I don't know that this will work. I've gotten in a little bit over my head here, but I can figure it out. That's what my job is. Sort of. I also can't see the display port. Oh, Jesus.
Display port. Hello?
That's like my biggest frustration with monitors, is you can never see the inputs. Which if you're only ever setting it up once and never looking back, then whatever, but as someone who moves things around a lot, and with DisplayPort and HDMI being so common now, it's very hard to tell them apart just by feeling them blindly. This is not bad. I run into the same problem I did with the previous monitor that I had, the previous configuration I had. In that, because this one is so wide compared to 16:9, the bezel kind of goes behind a bit, and so there's a little bit of a shadow here, because it's not 16:9, whereas a 16:9 would actually fit. So if anyone wants to send me a second one of these, that would be a freaking killer setup to have two of these together. But I'll make it work since I was dealing with that anyway. The only concern being all this light. I have a backlight on this because I need backlight here for my eyes. It's now facing my wife, and so I'm gonna have to see if she's bothered by that or if I have to take it off, because I'll probably just have to get a new one for this monitor. But I guess we'll turn it on and see what it looks like for the first time. If I can figure out these controls. There's a tiny little, like, power switch. There we go. Let's hope it's not broken after all this work. I didn't actually test it. Oh, Right, we don't want HDMI 4. Display port. Whew. Is this in HDR mode? I don't, it's really bright. Ah, it's really bright. 3840 by 2160. Refresh rate looks appropriate, I think. It is really bright. I'm gonna have to mess with this because this is, I don't know if it's in a weird profile. It's at 60 hertz. Let's turn on HDR just for kicks. The desktop looks so washed out. That's funny. So like if I pull up my Twitter notification feed, this white is super aggressive on my eyes. I'm gonna have to look into what some of these settings do. It's got picture-in-picture mode, which would be nice. Demo mode off, eco mode off. Adaptive sync is an option. Dynamic dimming. I might have to turn that off. Power saving, I don't really want. Has ambient light adaptation. That's terrible. Nope. Alright, that's fine. So it's gonna take some getting used to. But I'm checking it out. It's gonna be pretty cool. So, thanks so much for watching this very strange unboxing and deep dive. Again, you don't need something like this. I don't technically need something like this, but I'm gonna make use of it and learn it. That's what I do, is I get things to learn and adapt and get better at my job, which is, I think, important. You just want something that's IPS and something that has good reviews and you can actually look at the color reproduction and make sure that it is somewhat fairly accurate. Avoid TN panels, avoid gaming panels unless they're IPS overall, unless you have like some unique aspect of them that they're rated for. Avoid ones that are just kind of marketed funky, I guess. I don't know. I'll be talking more about this. I just wanted to cover the monitors that I have been using. Hopefully soon I will have a video on what I use to make videos just on the whole. But yeah. This video just took a really dark turn. And there's not going to be a finish for it anytime soon. Which really sucks since I basically spent all day getting this set up. Set up my new monitor. Great. Plug in my old monitor. It won't turn on at all. No light, no power, nothing. Sitting here spamming the power. It's got a little power switch in the back. Flicking that on and off wherever that went. Over here. Nothing will work. I've tried a couple different power cords. I'm gonna go move it and try a different outlet. But I looked it up and there's quite a lot of threads about this specific monitor after someone moves it for the first time in forever, not powering on anymore. And it turns out there could either be something wrong with the main board, like overall, or there's specifically a ROM chip on the logic board that's dedicated to storing the power state. And it apparently is very prone to getting corrupted. And you have to completely disassemble the chassis and access that ROM with the exposed power board and give it power, have the actual power supply receiving power, and give that ROM chip power to like reset the status or something like that. Looked it up. I bought this monitor September 2017. So it's 2 to maybe 3 months just outside of warranty. It only has a 1-year warranty on it for this $1,000, originally much more expensive monitor. Just outside of warranty. All those cliche stories that you hear. It happened. And then as I'm doing research on this, as I'm doing my research and skimming through lots of text on a white screen, I can't see it now. Where'd it go? Is it gone? Nope. There is a few dead pixels right there. I've tried like massaging them out since that's supposedly a thing, but there's, yeah, I'm assuming it has to be a few since there's like a small line of dead pixels in my brand new $1,800 full price $2,000 monitor. Now, I could ignore the dead pixels. I could. But when I just paid this much money for it, I'd rather have a new monitor. And now, if I have to send it back, I'm stuck with one monitor because this one doesn't work. This was a really good day. Turned into a really bad day.
Alright, so I have a new attack plan because this stressed me out so goddamn much. Like, I was genuinely upset. This is a big deal. This is a huge workflow impediment if I'm down monitors and this whole thing and the dead pixel. And for a $2,000 monitor, I can't have a dead pixel. That's just unacceptable. So I have a new attack strategy because there's also some other issues I have with this monitor that I'm going to further evaluate over the next couple weeks and put together in the next segment here. Basically, I'm spinning this whole thing into monitor roulette, as my wife called it, which is going to be the perfect name for this. And kind of spin this a little bit differently because this monitor is not the right decision for me. And there's a better one that is also a few $100 cheaper now than what I paid for this one. So I'm going to file a return for this one and then get the new one, swap that in here, and in the meantime, figure out what's wrong with the back one. And then I'll put moving my side one to the gaming side just kind of on the back burner until I get the old monitor fixed and figured out. So got a plan. I feel more better about this. It's been quite a few hours. It's like 9 p.m. now. I was originally, the last time I filmed was like 5 or 6 p.m. I've been super stressed and upset and pissed off, but I think I figured it out. And this is gonna be quite the interesting adventure and miniseries, but I think this is the way to go. And the end result should be a better content workflow for me, hopefully, once everything is fixed up here, assuming we can fix the monitor, because it also did some weird popping thing when it kicked on, which I also read in the articles about this monitor having had so many issues. So I do want to go ahead and touch on this. The LG 31MU97 that I just spoke so highly of, it died. When I unplugged it and went and moved it over and then plugged it back in, it would no longer power on or show any indication of life. There are articles and articles and articles, or like blog posts and forum posts and subreddit posts. This is apparently a very common thing. It's theoretically possible that the power supply went bad or that there's a bulged capacitor somewhere, but what seems to be a common factor is there is a little ROM chip on either the logic board or the power supply that apparently is very easy to corrupt, and that stores the power state. And apparently when this gets corrupt, which is apparently very common when someone has been using the monitor, turns it off, moves it for the first time in ages, and then plugs it back in, it no longer works. Apparently that's a really common situation for this monitor, which is really shitty. I'll have to bleep that out. The ROM gets corrupted and then it doesn't know what to do with power and won't turn back on. And so you need to give it some juice to reset it a few times. Like you reset it, turn it on, see if it works, turn it back off, unplug it, let it sit for a minute, turn it back on. And if it still doesn't work again, then you need to reset it a few times until it works. And apparently that just fixes it theoretically moving forward. But that's not something I can do myself or I can even gain access to. So it's possible I can take it down to Wendell at Level 1 Techs and we can work on this, and that'll be part of the series if so. If not, I may have to reach out to some local TV repair people and see if, especially if I come in with a set diagnosis, if they can do it for a reasonable price. It was an expensive monitor, so I certainly don't want to just say, oh, it's dead and toss it, because that's a waste of electronics and adds to trash, and I paid money for it. I want more than a year worth out of it. But we'll see. So this is where I will end filming for today, but it is not the end of the cycle.